In this episode, we sort out one of the most common early career questions in cybersecurity, which is whether the Certified Information Security Manager, CISM, the Certified Information Systems Security Professional, CISSP, or the Certified in Risk and Information Systems Control, CRISC, is the better certification path. The honest answer is that none of these is universally better because they were designed to validate different kinds of professional value. One leans more directly towards security governance and program leadership. One spans the broad security landscape, and one concentrates more heavily on enterprise risk and control thinking. For a brand new learner, that can actually be reassuring rather than confusing, because the decision does not begin with which title sounds most impressive. It begins with the type of problems you want to solve, the type of conversations you want to have at work, and the type of role you hope to grow into over time. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is a companion to our course companion books. The first book is about the exam and provides detailed information on how to pass it best. The second book is a Kindle-only ebook that contains 1,000 flashcards that can be used on your mobile device or Kindle. Check them both out at cyberauthor.me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. Before comparing them, it helps to understand what a certification path really is. It is not just the next exam you schedule. It is a direction for your study, your professional vocabulary, and eventually your identity in the field. The official descriptions already show that these three certifications are aimed at different centers of gravity. CISM is presented as validating the ability to assess risk, implement governance, and respond to incidents. CISSP is presented as demonstrating the expertise to design, implement, and manage a strong cybersecurity program across a broad range of knowledge areas. CRISC is presented as validating information technology risk management expertise, with emphasis on resilience, stakeholder value, and proactive risk management. Those short descriptions matter because they reveal that you are not choosing among three identical badges. You are choosing which professional lens you want to strengthen first, and that choice will shape how you study and how you see the security profession. If your instinct is to ask how security should be led inside an organization, CISM is usually the clearest fit. The current official outline centers it on four areas: governance, risk management, the security program itself, and incident management. That combination tells you a lot about what the certification is trying to build in a candidate. It is less about becoming the deepest specialist in every technical topic and more about learning how to align security with the organization, shape a program, decide priorities, and respond when something goes wrong. In practical terms, CISM suits people who are drawn to questions such as how leadership should set direction, how security work should be organized, how risk should be managed, and how an incident should be handled at a program level rather than only at a tool level. For someone who wants to move toward management, governance, or program oversight, that focus is very deliberate and very useful. CISSP points in a different direction because it covers a much wider map of the security field. The current official outline spans 8 domains, including security and risk management, asset security, architecture and engineering, network security, access management, testing, operations, and software development security. That breadth is one reason the certification has such a strong reputation. It is designed to validate broad professional understanding across the major pillars of cybersecurity rather than concentrating mostly on one layer of responsibility. That does not make it purely technical, because the official positioning also emphasizes design, implementation, and management of a cybersecurity program. Still, compared with CISM, it usually feels more like a wide-angle view of the profession. If you want a certification that helps you understand how many different parts of cybersecurity fit together, CISSP is often the broadest of the three. It tends to appeal to generalists, future architects, senior practitioners, and leaders who need wide security literacy. CRISC is different again because its center of gravity is risk and control. The current official outline covers governance, risk assessment, risk response and reporting, and technology and security. That means it is not simply a theory credential about abstract risk language. It is built around identifying meaningful risks, analyzing them, deciding how they should be treated, assigning ownership, evaluating controls, monitoring outcomes, and reporting information that supports decisions. When people first hear the word risk, They sometimes assume the work is passive or detached from real operations. The official scope shows the opposite. CRISC includes control design, monitoring, reporting techniques, technology principles, resilience, and security awareness, all tied back to risk-informed decision-making. This makes it especially appealing for people who are energized by business impact, control effectiveness, accountability, resilience, and the question of how leaders should decide what exposure is acceptable and what must be changed. A simple way to compare the three is by asking how wide the map is and where the deepest focus sits. CISSP is the broadest map of the overall security profession among the three because its 8-domain structure stretches across major technical, operational, and managerial subjects. CISM is narrower, but its narrower scope is not a weakness. It goes deeper into the management side of information security by concentrating on governance, risk, program development, and incident handling. CRISC is narrower in a different way because it keeps pulling the conversation back toward risk, controls, reporting, resilience, and the governance decisions that surround them. So if CISSP helps you see the whole city, CISM helps you understand how the security department should be led, and CRISC helps you understand how the organization should think about risk, ownership, and control response. That difference in scope is one of the clearest decision points for beginners. Another good comparison is the kind of work conversation each certification prepares you for. CISM prepares you for conversations about strategy, governance, accountability, security program direction, and incident oversight. CISSP prepares you for conversations that move across many security disciplines because the official domains expect you to think about architecture, operations, access, testing, software, and risk in one connected framework. CRISC prepares you for conversations about whether a risk is real, how severe it is, who owns it, which treatment makes sense, how controls should be evaluated, and how decision-makers should be informed. None of that means the three are disconnected from one another, because they overlap in meaningful ways. The difference is the angle from which they approach the same professional world. One starts most naturally from management of security, one from broad security competence, and one from enterprise risk and control thinking. That angle matters more than brand familiarity when you are deciding where to invest serious study time. The exam structures also reinforce these differences. On the current official materials, CISM and CRISC each use 150 multiple-choice questions and allow 4 hours for completion. CISSP currently uses computerized adaptive testing, with a variable length of 100 to 150 items, a 3-hour exam time, and a mix of multiple choice and advanced item types. That may sound like a purely logistical detail, but it affects the feel of preparation. CISM and CRISC ask you to sustain judgment across a fixed, lengthy set of questions that stay close to their 4-domain focus. CISSP asks you to handle a broader content range in an adaptive format that changes as you answer. For some learners, the broad scope of CISSP feels more demanding because it requires confidence across many parts of cybersecurity. For others, the more concentrated but management-heavy thinking in CISM or the risk-intensive thinking in CRISC feels more challenging. The point is that exam shape often reflects credential identity. Experience requirements matter too, especially for beginners who may be trying to choose a long-term path rather than an immediate certification. For CISM, the official requirement for certification is 5 years of professional information security management work experience in the job practice areas, and candidates have 5 years from passing to apply. The exam itself is open to anyone with an interest in information security, so the exam can come before the experience is complete. CRISC works similarly in that the exam is open to anyone, but certification requires 3 years of professional experience across at least 2 of the 4 domains, again with a 5-year application window after passing. CISSP is different in its official requirements because certification requires 5 years of cumulative paid work experience in 2 or more of the 8 domains, though 1 year can be waived in certain cases, and a candidate who passes without the required experience can become an associate and then earn the experience afterward. These details shape the timing of each path. What those requirements mean in plain language is that your first choice does not have to be the same as your first fully earned credential. A beginner may be strongly drawn to CISM because the management angle feels exciting, yet still need time in the field before the experience requirement is met. Another learner may discover that CRISC feels more immediately reachable because the experience requirement is shorter and the focus is concentrated around risk and controls. Someone else may decide that CISSP is the right long-term direction because broad security fluency is the foundation they want to build, even if they first approach it as a future milestone rather than a near-term exam. This is why it is helpful to think in terms of trajectory instead of urgency. Your path is not invalid just because you are not ready to claim the full certification today. The better question is whether the material you are studying now is helping you become the kind of professional you actually want to become. There are also a few common misconceptions that confuse people when they compare these credentials. One mistake is assuming CISSP automatically replaces the other two because it is broad and widely recognized. Breadth is valuable, but breadth and focus are not the same thing. Another mistake is assuming CISM is only for people already sitting at the very top of the organization. The current CISM outline covers governance, risk, program development, and incident management, which are relevant far earlier than the executive level. A third mistake is assuming CRISC is only for auditors or compliance staff. Its current outline clearly includes control design, monitoring, technology, resilience, and security principles in addition to risk response and reporting. When beginners see these certifications as fixed status symbols instead of practical knowledge paths, they often miss the real value. The better comparison is not which one sounds bigger. The better comparison is which one most closely matches the professional problems you want to become good at solving. So how should a new learner actually choose? A good rule is to pay attention to what kind of responsibility feels naturally interesting to you. If you are most interested in how security is governed, how leaders make decisions, how a security program is structured, and how incidents are managed from an organizational perspective, CISM is probably your clearest path. If you want the widest map of cybersecurity and expect your career to cross architecture, operations, access, testing, engineering, and leadership, CISSP is probably the strongest match. If you are especially interested in risk scenarios, treatment options, control ownership, resilience, and communicating exposure in a way that supports business decisions, CRISC is probably the better fit. Notice that all three paths point towards serious professional work. The difference is the question each one wants you to answer most often. CISM asks how security should be led, CISSP asks how security fits together, and CRISC asks how risk should be understood and managed. Because this course centers on CISM, it is fair to say that CISM makes the most sense for learners who are drawn to security leadership rather than only deep specialization in one technical area. Its official domains are built around governance, risk management, security program development and management, and incident management, which together create a very recognizable management-oriented profile. At the same time, choosing CISM does not mean the other two certifications stop matching. Many professionals eventually see CISSP as the broad security map they want to add, or see risk as the risk and control specialization that sharpens their decision-making. The order depends on what you need first. If you need breadth first, one order may make more sense. If you need management perspective first, another order may be better. If your work already revolves around enterprise risk and control reporting, a different order could be perfectly reasonable. The most intelligent path is the one that matches your role goals rather than internet popularity. When you step back from the acronyms, the choice becomes much clearer. CISM is for the learner who wants to grow into guiding and managing security as an organizational capability. CISSP is for the learner who wants broad, respected coverage across the major domains of cybersecurity. CRISC is for the learner who wants to become especially strong in risk, controls, resilience, and risk-informed decision-making. None of those directions is the wrong one. They are simply different ways of becoming valuable. The best certification path is not the one that impresses strangers the fastest. It is the one that helps you build the mindset, language, and judgment that fit the work you want to do for years. Once you understand that, the comparison stops being a popularity contest and starts becoming what it should be from the beginning, which is a thoughtful decision about professional identity and long-term fit.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.